Hello everybody, this is TPGC of YouTube, and I'm sorry that I sound weird as of late. It's just that I'm trying my best to feel better from the cold I've been having since, probably Thursday of the time of this recording. Because as of this recording, I recorded it on Saturday, May 5th, 2017, yeah. And before we get on to today's episode, which is on FanFiction yeah, this is the other can of worms for this therapy session. But a little bit of an update. I asked my friend Randy if he could do the backgrounds for Penalty X, and he's like, sure, that'll be good. I could do it. And I'm like, yeah, boy. So all in all, things are well with things regarding to Penalty X. Yeah, I know my words. Shut up. Nah, I'm just kidding. But today's episode, is gonna be one of the more relatable ones, given the fact that I'm pretty sure some people, even those that are not in the fanime community, can relate to this because of the fact that they have done it before. During their preteen or teenage years. And the subject I'm talking about today is fanfiction. Oh golly gee. Now, if you're gonna tell me that you never done fanfiction before, you're either A, extremely lucky, or B, a huge liar. I'm just saying. So once I was 7 years old, or at least 8 years old, because I think I might have better memories of when it came out than the age this thing came out in. I was really into the crossover special that was on Nickelodeon at the time, which is the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, which is like a crossover special of Jimmy Neutron and the Fairly Odd Parents. I also remember watching a family member play Kingdom Hearts, which is basically a crossover of Disney and Final Fantasy, though I didn't know about the Final Fantasy X aspect because I was more interested in the Disney X aspect, to be honest. Oh gosh, I suck at remembering Final Fantasy back in the day. Why am I telling you these things if I never done anything related to them? Well, I do remember one time I tried to write up a letter before I got discouraged for it. I tried to write up a letter to Nickelodeon Studios to say, hey, do like a 4-way crossover of Jimmy Neutron, SpongeBob, the Fairly Odd Parents, and Danny Phantom, because I remember that there was a video game that crosses those four over, and I really wanted to have like a movie about that. I wanted Nickelodeon to say, I wanted Nickelodeon to make a movie about that, since the specials are basically movies. And when I mean the specials, I mean like the Jimmy Timmy Power, but yeah, those are basically movies. And that was kind of like an egg to what I'm about to tell you. That's gonna lead in to my fanfiction thing. By the time I was in middle school, I was having a bit of an obsession with Super Mario RPG and Azumanga Daioh. And, well, I started up my fanfiction, Super Azumanga RPG. Although at the time, it was originally called The Adventures of Ayumu Kasuga, which is, I used the real name for Osaka from Azumanga Daioh, where I originally intended Osaka to be the main character. But then it got derailed to a point where it's not really about Osaka anymore. It's just about, what's happening in the fanfiction. To a point where somebody suggested, hey, maybe you should change the name to Super Azumanga RPG rather than The Adventures of Ayumu Kasuga. Which, young me is all like, okay, we could do that. So yeah, I changed the name from The Adventures of Ayumu Kasuga to the kinda well-known Super Azumanga RPG, and the reason why I'm saying it kinda sarcastically was because of the fact that I'm not too sure anybody even knows about my fanfiction past, other than a couple of close friends of mine. Now, the fanfiction itself, it was not originally on fanfiction.net. It was on, get this, wiki websites. There was this one wiki website that was on the under the Scribble Wiki farm before Scribble Wiki got went under. I kind of wrote in that wiki, since that wiki is specifically for writing stories out. I'm just like, oh, I could do that. And so I did. I wrote my fanfiction there. But, you know, like I said, the Scribble Wiki went under, but I had another site that I put my fanfiction on, and that was the Mario Wiki. I am not shitting you. It's right there. Though I think it was on Userpedia as well, but the Mario Wiki was on was the one I remember being on there the most. I remember continuing my fanfiction into its season 2, and this was back when Haruhi season 2 was still like a mystery, to be quite frank. I'm guessing young me was all like, hey, if Haruhi season me could have in season 2, then why not Super Azumanga RPG? And so I wrote the season 2 of that one. Yeah. And things got derailed. I kind of used other people's characters without permission, and I also added my own self-insert character in that fanfiction. So, oops. Sorry. Admittedly, season 2 was completed, but the rest of it was kind of gone forever because, you know, the fact that fanfiction was taking up wiki space, yeah, it was kind of like, I can understand of what the person that deleted my pages were talking about. So is that fanfiction gone forever? Not really. It's still up on fanfiction.net, or at least the majority of it, because, like I said, I never completed season 2 on fanfiction.net, given the fact that, like, I was having a lot of computer issues at the time, so oops. And after that point, I kind of usually do one-shot fanfictions related to my crossover, and I made a Super Azumanga RPG after story. I'm not fucking kidding you. And there was also, I also had a phase in my life when I was really into Digicarrot, and I made 2 crossover fanfictions related to Digicarrot. There's, Azucarrot, which is like a crossover of Digicarrot and Azumanga Daioh, and there is the trip to the Mushroom Planet Neo, where it's a crossover of Mario and Digicarrot. You really see a pattern going on, guys. And I remember that also Digicarrot related, I tried to make the Digicarrot Lost episodes because I guess it was during a time where I was a little salty about the fact that I never really got the chance to watch Digicarrot Neo. So I wrote the Lost episodes just so I could add, like, for one thing, my own characters into that fanfiction, and I also wanted to add Rina and Mike from Panyo Panyo Digicarrot in that fanfiction. But you know, a lot of those fanfiction that I've mentioned, that really never continued, like, at all, because I was having motivational issues. There was another fanfiction I remember writing called The Tales of Mishap or something. I cannot really remember, but it was like it's supposed to be a series of short stories, and the first story is related to Homestar Runner, related to my Strong Glad. It was related to my Strong Glad fan character. Back before we know that Strong Glad was a character, was basically Strong Sad with the legs, that legs, yo. There are 2 more things I wanted to bring up related to fanfiction. Is one, I tried to make an edgy reboot of Super Azumanga RPG called Rightful Thesis. I'm pretty sure some of you that were subscribed to me back in the day might have heard about this. But, like, I tried my best to write as much as I could related to that fanfiction. But my first laptop died, and, like, yeah, I was sad, and I was in a bit of a slump about that, and that's what led me to write Penalty Belt, because at least with Penalty Belt, I had a better time writing with original characters than I did with fan characters, and characters that are already pre-existing. I also wrote a fan fiction that's a one-shot crossover of Azumanga Daioh Danganronpa that takes place in the fantasy world, but I guess with that one, that really didn't go anywhere. I don't really want to talk about that one because, yeah, I was dumb for doing that. And I think from that point on, I just wrote original stories. Though recently, last year, I did reread Super Azumanga RPG, and despite some really shit moments that I cannot really look back on fondly, the fanfiction itself is not as bad as I remember it being, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, it's still pretty bad, but it's not as bad as I remember it being. And that's basically the long and short of it. I never actually gotten popular with those fanfictions because I always go for the obscure shit because I'm the biggest hipster of the fucking planet. But yeah, that's basically the whole story of my fanfiction days. I hope you guys liked it. This is Cheapy Ship YouTube signing out. Bye bye!